I traveled back to the day when he confessed his love to me. Everyone thought I would reject him, crush his dignity mercilessly, and mock him for being a toad trying to eat a swan, including him. Under the curious gazes of the onlookers, I took the hand of the down-and-out young man, my eyes curved with a smile. Jian Yuanzhou, I like you too, let's walk the future path together. The basketball court was bustling with noise. I like you. The down-and-out young man's attire was out of place in this place, his thin shoulders trembled slightly, and his voice was faint. He was coerced to come here. The people around were all looking at him as if watching a joke. In this prestigious school, ordinary people were not tolerated. In my previous life, I scolded him in front of everyone, calling him a toad dreaming of eating a swan, and a delusional person. I trampled his dignity under my feet mercilessly. He didn't look up at me, presumably. He was also thinking about how to deal with the situation later and didn't have the slightest expectation of me. After I died in my previous life, I realized that I was in a sweet and spoiling novel with a broken logic. I was the vicious supporting female character who targeted the female lead everywhere and clung to the male lead like a piece of chewing gum. Jian Yuanzhou was not the male lead, but the affectionate second male lead. He was just a supporting character like me. After being humiliated by me, because of a word of encouragement from the female lead, he later gave all his billions of wealth to the female lead and dedicated himself to her. However, although he stood on the female lead's side, he often showed mercy to me, giving me the opportunity to do stupid things again and again. The male lead, Gu Xing, also looked over. A casual three-point shot fell into the basket. Gu Xing and I were childhood sweethearts, and our families were both prominent families. Since I was a child, I knew that I was going to marry him in the future, but after the female lead, Bai Xiaoxiao, appeared, everything became strange. He gave the breakfast that he used to bring to me every day to Bai Xiaoxiao. He also gave the seat that he used to reserve for me to Bai Xiaoxiao. Xiaoxiao is different from you. Her family is in a difficult situation. As time went by, he also gave his heart to Bai Xiaoxiao. Gu Xing just glanced at Jian Yuanzhou and didn't say anything. He didn't think that Jian Yuanzhou would pose any threat to him. In the past, during the halftime break, I would always bring water to Gu Xing. This time was no exception. Not receiving the water that was handed to him immediately, he wasn't impatient either. He just sat on the resting seat waiting for me, because I would always revolve around him. Those who are loved always feel fearless. With a mocking smile, he called my name. Su Zhaoyan, when did you start wasting time with someone like this? The embarrassment in Jian Yuanzhou's eyes flashed by. His washed-out school uniform looked extremely down and out among a group of wealthy young men, but I took the initiative to hold his hand, my eyes curved with a smile. Jian Yuanzhou, I like you too, let's walk the future path together. Jian Yuanzhou was a head taller than me. He lowered his head, and I looked up at him. His eyelashes trembled slightly, his voice was low and hoarse, lacking confidence. What did you just say? Before I could say anything, Gu Xing, not far away, couldn't sit still first. Gu Xing's face darkened. Su Zhaoyan, if you want to anger me, you don't have to lower your status and be with someone like him. I didn't look at him but stared into Jian Yuanzhou's eyes and said word by word, didn't you hear clearly? Then I'll say it again. His face instantly turned red. I continued, I like you, so now I'm your girlfriend. Gu Xing gave Jian Yuanzhou a cold look. Don't you know what kind of person she is? She's just playing with you. You don't really believe it, do you? Jian Yuanzhou raised his eyes. Can I trust you? My face was reflected in his clear eyes. I said softly, are you willing to trust me? He suddenly smiled. I am willing. After I led Jian Yuanzhou away, Gu Xing didn't follow. He thought that I was just throwing a tantrum and that sooner or later I would run back and revolve around him again. And I also knew that it was Gu Xing's good friend who deliberately tried to embarrass me today. To stand up for Bai Xiaoxiao. Gu Xing didn't know that the people he regarded as brothers all liked Bai Xiaoxiao to some extent. Seeing that there was no one around, I let go of Jian Yuanzhou's hand. You played your part well. I smiled and teased him. Just now, his eyes almost made me believe that he had a crush on me. The affectionate second male lead couldn't possibly like me. And I had never thought in that direction, but Jian Yuanzhou didn't show any relief after getting out of trouble. So, you were lying to me. His expression was hidden behind his disguise, and it was hard to see any dissatisfaction, but his tone was terrifyingly cold. Weren't we helping each other out just now? I smiled a little awkwardly and secretly guessed what he meant. Now, in the eyes of everyone, Jian Yuanzhou was someone that anyone could humiliate a few words, but in the future, He would become an unshakable big shot in the Shanghai circle. My only thought was not to make any enemies. Jiang Yuanzhou retracted his previous tone and returned to his usual cautiousness. It made me a bit confused. They all know that you like Gu Xing. Did you do that just now to anger him? I smiled. Who said I like him? Jiang Yuanzhou suddenly let out a sigh of relief. You're not lying to me this time. I found a bench and motioned for him to sit down. The way he sat upright was really far from the person who would later make waves in Shanghai. Who could have imagined it? I thought for a moment and asked him, did I bring you any trouble? Here, going against Gu Xing was not a good thing. He frowned. No. I patted him on the shoulder, and his eyes trembled. He turned his head to the side, seemingly shy. Don't be afraid, I'll help you. He might not believe me, after all. Because of the previous incidents of competing with Bai Xiaoxiao for Gu Xing, my reputation as an arrogant and overbearing person had spread far and wide. Now, I was no longer controlled by the plot. Standing outside of it, things were much clearer. Jiang Yuanzhou turned to look at me. I showed a toothy smile and said gently, it seems you didn't understand again. I'll protect you in the future. In order not to create a powerful enemy for myself, I decided to win him over. The tips of his ears turned red, and he nodded in response to my gaze. It seemed that Jiang Yuanzhou was really easy to deceive when he was young, even a bit cute. The next day at school, it happened to be a golf class. I didn't see Jiang Yuanzhou among the students in the class. There was some movement in the men's restroom on the west side of the teaching building. After a sound of struggling, suddenly a heavy object fell to the ground, and a burst of laughter rang out. Do you think that by getting close to the eldest lady of the Jiang family, you can get rid of us? Weren't you the one who cared most about face? You're more eager to be a gigolo than the rest of us. There were all kinds of unpleasant and dirty words. Without thinking, I opened the door of the men's restroom. When the people inside saw me come in, their jaws almost dropped. Su Zhaoyan. Why are you entering the men's restroom? Because of the Jiang family, they didn't dare to do anything to me. I walked up to Jiang Yuanzhou and casually asked, did they bully you like this before? In fact, I didn't need to ask to know that Jiang Yuanzhou had a tough time here, but the scholarship here was very high, 100 times that of an ordinary school. The corner of Jiang Yuanzhou's mouth was broken, and there was a large abrasion on his arm joint. The sound of the heavy object falling to the ground just now must have been the sound of him being pushed down. He nodded and showed great forbearance. The leading boy stopped what he was doing. His father worked under my mother. Su Zhaoyan, do you really have a crush on this guy? His tone was still relatively polite. I took Jiang Yuanzhou's hand, and his palm was full of sweat. He will be mine from now on. I smiled. So, I hope you will treat him well in the future. After all, he is the one I like. The boy was stunned, looking as shocked as if he had seen a ghost. I gave him a glare and pulled Jiang Yuanzhou to the golf course. A quarter of the class time had already passed. Jiang Yuanzhou had an indifferent expression and was very repulsed by this place. I don't like this class. He was so uneasy that he wanted to go back to the classroom to do his homework. I blocked his way. Do you not like it? Or do you not have the equipment? I took out a spare set of golf clubs. This class is also counted towards the credits. Don't you want the scholarship anymore? He raised his eyelids but didn't say anything. I'm not someone who is overly sympathetic. Consider this money as a loan from me. You have to pay me back with interest in the future. The course assumes that everyone knows how to play, and the teacher only manages the order of the practice field. All the equipment is brought by the students themselves. For someone like Jiang Yuanzhou, it was impossible for him to afford it. Bai Xiaoxiao pestered Gu Xing to teach her how to play golf. Gu Xing had been squinting his eyes and resting. He looked down on the crowded golf course at school and thought it was beneath his dignity to play here. As soon as he saw me coming, he immediately agreed to Bai Xiaoxiao's request. He seemingly casually glanced at me, when his gaze swept over Jiang Yuanzhou beside me. His eyes trembled for a moment. In my previous life, Gu Xing once locked me in the golf course for a whole night. In order to let Bai Xiaoxiao know that he didn't have feelings for me in his heart, he cleared out everyone in advance, and not a single person told me. It rained heavily that night, with thunder and lightning. I was so scared that my whole body trembled. In the dark night, suddenly a flashlight appeared, piercing through the rainy night. The person who came in shouted, "Is there anyone else in here?" I replied tremblingly, "Yes." It was Jiang Yuanzhou. He had left his golf clubs in the course, so he came back. By the way, he saved me who was trapped in the course. There was prepared ginger tea in his car, still warm. He handed it to me with a cold expression and also sent me home. Other than that, he didn't say a single word to me. The male lead would only be potent and dote on one person. The second male lead, however, was kind to everyone, even though he didn't seem to like me. Gushing helped Bai Xiaoxiao adjust her posture and told her to aim before hitting the ball. Bai Xiaoxiao was a bit shy. I seemed to be a bit clumsy. Can you teach me again? Gushing seemed a bit impatient. Just as he was about to turn his head to look at me, I had already led Jiang Yuanzhou to an empty hitting position beside. I repeated what Gushing had just said to Bai Xiaoxiao. Understood. Jiang Yuanzhou nodded. Yes. Bai Xiaoxiao next door bit her lip. Actually, I already know how to do it. I was just being modest before. I didn't look at her but just watched Jiang Yuanzhou practice. Jiang Yuanzhou was very smart. Although it was his first time to touch golf, he didn't have the clumsiness of a beginner. Bai Xiaoxiao hit the ball twice, but the club didn't even touch the ball. An embarrassed look appeared on her face, and she turned to Gushing and said, I really seem to be a bit unaccustomed to it. Gushing perfunctorily responded a few words and proposed to have a match with Jiang Yuanzhou. I immediately laughed. You want to compete with a beginner? Gushing waved his hand and smiled mockingly. Isn't he supposed to be talented? He doesn't look like it's his first time. I was about to say something more. Jiang Yuanzhou grabbed my arm. I admit that I'm not as good as you in this regard. His speech was slow but firm. Gushing's mouth curled into a sarcastic smile. You're admitting defeat just like that. But Bai Xiaoxiao ran over and tugged at the corner of Gushing's clothes. Forget it. Why don't you two make up today? She looked so aggrieved, like a little white flower swaying in the wind. It seemed that today's matter was all because of her. The classmates beside jeered. It looks like one man is competing for two women. They couldn't wait to fan the flames even more. In addition, the news that Bai Xiaoxiao had been adopted by my family had already spread. She was now my adopted sister. The whispers around me reached my ears. Jiang Yuanzhou confessed his love to Su Xiaoyan yesterday. Could he be trying to create a distraction and attract Bai Xiaoxiao's attention? After all, the elder sister seems to be more in need of protection. With Su Xiaoyan's domineering appearance, do you think he can handle her? That must be the case. A bunch of mediocre people. Jiang Yuanzhou's voice was still as clear as the sound in a valley. Gushing's competitive spirit was completely aroused. He, the only son of the Gu family, when had it ever been someone else's turn to compete with him? He said indifferently that he could compete in anything, such as basketball. Jiang Yuanzhou actually agreed. I lowered my voice and asked him. He clearly used the provocation. Why did you fall for it? Jiang Yuanzhou's expression remained the same. Even if I avoid it this time, he will still find trouble with me next time. Next time, I'll be here. I turned around and happened to meet his gaze. Suddenly, the atmosphere became a bit delicate. The class bell rang for a full minute, deafeningly loud. During this time, I saw his lips move, but I didn't hear a single word clearly. After the bell stopped, I was about to ask him. He averted his gaze, cleared his throat, and looked in Gushing's direction. You can set the time. The gentle breeze brushed across his face, and his eyes were more dazzling than the sunlight. Bai Xiaoxiao seemed to have been wronged somehow. Her eyes were red, and when she saw me, she directly hid back in the classroom. The passing classmates thought that I had bullied her, but because I was the eldest lady of the Su family, they only dared to talk about it in private. I've always been uninterested in such things. Just as I was about to leave, someone bumped straight into me. He was out of breath, as if he had something urgent to tell me. At a distance of one step, I finally saw his face clearly. It was Li Weiwei, my good friend. In the novel, she was usually called the little follower of the vicious supporting female character. She was out of breath as she told me that she had just avenged me and mocked Bai Xiaoxiao a few words. She was a bit proud of herself, but I remembered her ending. After I died, she went to question Gushing about what he had done to me. Gushing had drunk too much wine that day and couldn't see the road clearly. He drove the car and crashed into her. Li Weiwei was knocked flying 10 meters away. Gushing directly drove over her body. Later, Bai Xiaoxiao knelt down in front of Jiang Yuanzhou and begged him to go to prison for Gushing. The affectionate second male lead naturally agreed. From beginning to end, no one cared about Li Weiwei's death. She was just a cannon fodder. In front of me, Li Weiwei was still full of life. When she saw the tears in my eyes, she was suddenly stunned on the spot. Xiaoyan, why are you crying? I was about to speak, but she excitedly motioned for me to look behind me. It was Gushing being surrounded by a group of people. There was a distance of 5 steps between us. In the past, I would also have been one of the people surrounding him, but at this moment, I naturally turned back and didn't look at him again. Li Weiwei was a bit surprised. Zhao Yan, go over quickly, otherwise, he'll be snatched away by that little bitch by Xiao Xiao. I shook my head, put my hand on the corridor railing, and looked into the distance. I'm not interested anymore. Is it because of that little? She was filled with indignation. I interrupted her. Why should I like someone who doesn't like me? Li Weiwei was taken aback, then smiled at me. Well then, out with the old and in with the new. I don't think Gu Xing is all that great either. As if she remembered something, she leaned close to me and asked in a low voice, they say you like Jiang Yuanzhou, is that true? I was startled and also shook my head. No, but I have a bit of a favorable impression. I was about to continue when Jiang Yuanzhou's figure came into my sight. He didn't say anything, just looked at me. The look of disappointment in his eyes surprised me a bit. Li Weiwei directly called out to him, hey, Jiang Yuanzhou, what did you mean by making our Zhao Yan embarrassed last time? She had a bad temper and a loud voice. At this time, there were quite a few people in the corridor. Human nature is to be nosy, and they all looked over. Jiang Yuanzhou was a bit embarrassed on the spot, perhaps because he was often humiliated by those young masters. There was not the slightest trace of anger on his face, before Li Weiwei could say her next sentence. I quickly covered her mouth. I didn't explain it clearly to her. I smiled awkwardly, but Jiang Yuanzhou apologized to me solemnly. I'm sorry. For a while, originally it was Jiang Yuanzhou confessing his love to me. As it was being passed around, it actually changed into several versions. Jiang Yuanzhou provoked me, the overbearing young lady, just to attract Bai Xiaoxiao's attention. Jiang Yuanzhou dumped me and hooked up with Bai Xiaoxiao. And I chased after Jiang Yuanzhou to beg for a reconciliation. Bai Xiaoxiao was hesitant between Jiang Yuanzhou and Gu Xing, so the two of them decided to have a competition to determine the winner. The essence of human beings should be gossip. During the evening reading class, there were not many people reciting books in the corridor, just a few sporadic ones. Jiang Yuanzhou leaned against the railing, and the pages of his textbook hadn't been turned for a long time. He was distracted. Maybe he noticed that I was looking at him, so he took 2 steps to the right and changed his position, just being blocked by the wall. I also took a book and went out, patted him on the back, and deliberately frowned and said, "Are you avoiding me?" He remained silent, which was a kind of acquiescence. During the day in the restroom, I said as if he didn't want to hear me finish. He quickly said, "I know you were trying to help me." I smiled. "They definitely won't trouble you anymore in the future. Just focus on your studies with peace of mind." Just as I was about to go back, I turned my head and saw the dean of students who had gone up the stairs and was walking towards us. I quickly opened my textbook, but Jiang Yuanzhou said indifferently, "You're holding the book upside down." After I turned it around, the dean of students had already come up behind me. My mother was a school board member, so he paid special attention to me. He would report my grades in real time every time, but in my previous life, I dropped out of school and also refused to go abroad. My mother never said a single word of blame. "Zhao Yan, it's a good thing to interact more with classmates who are good at studying." The dean of students adjusted the glasses on his nose. Everyone also knew that I was a rich young lady who just idled away my time. I usually looked down on students from ordinary families, especially those like Jiang Yuanzhou who got into the school purely based on their grades. I smiled and replied, "Okay, Director Qian." Then I looked at Jiang Yuanzhou beside me. "Student Jiang, I think the problem you explained to me just now really enlightened me. Can I ask you to give me tutoring lessons in the future?" Naturally, Jiang Yuanzhou couldn't refuse me in front of the dean of students. In silence, he nodded. After the dean of students walked away, he asked, "When did I explain a problem to you?" I answered silently in my heart, "In my previous life." At that time, I heard Gu Xing laugh at me in front of everyone, saying that I was stupid and couldn't even solve a simple problem. I was so angry that I stopped Jiang Yuanzhou who was passing by. I gave him a 100 yuan bill and asked him to explain the problem to me. He said at that time, "I'll only explain it once. Let's see if you can understand it." I thought he wanted to play tricks on me on purpose, so I listened especially carefully, but the detailed way he explained it allowed me, who always slept in class all day, to draw inferences about other cases from one instance. In the end, he didn't accept my money and didn't say another word to me. That day, it was getting late. I only saw the problem clearly and didn't see his expression hidden in the night. Jiang Yuanzhou probably thought I was making up a story. He didn't believe me. I suggested that he come to my house this Sunday, and the hourly wage would be calculated according to the market price for tutoring. But he suddenly blurted out, "Why have you been helping me so much these days?" Presumably, He didn't want to be my tutor and didn't answer my question. I wasn't discouraged either, after all. My image of being ignorant and incompetent had already been deeply ingrained in people's hearts. The main characters and the affectionate second male lead were all portrayed as extremely intelligent, only I had no special skills and finally lost my life. It doesn't matter. I traveled back just to change my destiny. Since the day I came back, I've been an independent person, I said meaningfully. Jiang Yuanzhou, if I fall into a trough in the future, can you give me a hand? Afraid that he wouldn't agree, I added, just once. I'm not that unreasonable, but he laughed, a self-deprecating laugh. Why do you have confidence in me? I met his unconfident gaze and said sincerely, you got into this school and stood in front of them. Although the starting points are different, the end points may not necessarily mean you'll lose to them. Don't you think you're really amazing? Jiang Yuanzhou was stunned. After a while, he said, I've never heard anyone say that before. There's a saying, don't bully a young man because he's poor. I was very serious. Jiang Yuanzhou paused and said, if what you said comes true, come to me, he added. Every time, after Li Weiwei knew the whole story, she planned to go and apologize to Jiang Yuanzhou. I let out a long sigh. It's better to find Bai Xiaoxiao first. Why? Li Weiwei was almost so excited that she jumped onto the table. I almost couldn't hold her back. Why? I knew that later. The boy who had a crush on Bai Xiaoxiao beside Gu Xing, because of today's incident, found a few hooligans to stop Li Weiwei on her way home. Li Weiwei didn't tell me exactly what happened that day, but it took her about 2 years to regain her hope in life. I said, just do it for my sake. She's my adopted sister now. Just give me some face. When Li Weiwei apologized, she was very reluctant. Bai Xiaoxiao's eyes were still red. As long as Zhao Yan isn't angry with me, that's enough. I smiled. Why would I be angry? Who would want to go against the female lead's halo? I heard that Xing used to bring you breakfast. I've already reminded him to bring 2 servings tomorrow, one for me and one. I smiled indifferently. It's like I can't afford to eat. Thank you for your kindness. In the evening, Bai Xiaoxiao said that the water in her shower room couldn't come out and knocked on my door. I opened the door but didn't let her in. Find someone else. I can't fix it either. I spread my hands and told the truth, seeing that it was useless to ask me. Her weak and boneless body turned around shakily and went down the stairs. She went to find Zhao Jianqing. Less than 10 minutes later, my door was knocked again. This time it was my father. There were only the 3 of us here, and my mother wasn't at home. Bai Xiaoxiao was my father Zhao Jianqing's illegitimate daughter. Her mother brought her up alone in hardship. Because of an illness, her mother passed away, and only on her deathbed did she tell Bai Xiaoxiao who her biological father was. At that time, my father Zhao Jianqing was accompanying my mother in the hospital for her recuperation, but he saw his first love at the end of her life, comparing the VIP ward where my mother lived, which had an independent living room, spacious and bright. The place where Bai Xiaoxiao's mother lived was cramped, crowded, and noisy. He felt even more sorry for Bai Xiaoxiao, the daughter of his first love, and increasingly thought that it was all my mother's fault. That she had blocked the happiness of their family. But he forgot who was the one who had tried so hard to become a son-in-law of the Su family at that time. His tone was a bit annoyed now. Now Xiaoxiao is your sister. She's not familiar with this family. Can't you help take a look? I still smiled. Even if I look, I can't fix it. Bai Xiaoxiao came out to smooth things over. Zhao Yan can't do it either. Don't blame her. Zhao Jianqing stroked her head. Xiaoxiao is still sensible. Zhao Yan, you should learn from her. I neither nodded nor shook my head. I just thought the scene of their father-daughter affection was very funny. Thinking of the several bugging devices that Zhao Jianqing installed in Bai Xiaoxiao's room, I couldn't help but wonder how funny her expression would be when she found out. Thinking carefully, it seemed that she wouldn't be surprised. Bai Xiaoxiao was immersed in the love and favor from others. Whether it was the love from Zhao Jianqing or the male lead Gu Xing, she accepted it all and enjoyed it. When she lost it, she would panic and use her weakness to win the other person back. On the golf course, she could learn at once, but she showed weakness to Gu Xing to retain him. The sound of rushing water came from Bai Xiaoxiao's shower room. It was fixed. Bai Xiaoxiao let out an exclamation. Daddy still loves me the most. Obviously, she could fix it in my previous life. But I wasn't surprised at all. Jiang Yuanzhou arrived at my doorstep at the agreed time. Seeing Jiang Yuanzhou pacing back and forth on the surveillance screen, I couldn't help laughing. I immediately asked Aunt Wang to go and pick him up to prevent him from getting lost in the yard. When Jiang Yuanzhou appeared, Bai Xiaoxiao was just about to go out. She greeted Jiang Yuanzhou. Don't look at Zhao Yan's bad temper. She's actually a nice person. Jiang Yuanzhou still had that indifferent look towards everyone. She has a good temper. Bai Xiaoxiao went downstairs awkwardly, and a lively sound came from downstairs. It was my mother who came back. Zhao Jianqing was also there, always following my mother, leaving me with no chance to interject. My mother brought a gift for both me and Bai Xiaoxiao. When she saw Jiang Yuanzhou greeted her politely. My mother smiled meaningfully. "Young man, you're good-looking." My mother never looked at anyone with prejudice. That's why Zhao Jianqing had the opportunity to become a son-in-law of a wealthy family. Seeing that my mother was about to go back to the company, Zhao Jianqing also wanted to follow. I quickly called out to my mother, "Mom, you've been working for so long and have no time to accompany me. I'm just about to go to an escape room with my classmates. Why don't you come with us?" Jiang Yuanzhou cooperated with me. "Auntie, come with us." Zhao Jianqing suggested that he also go. A trace of defensiveness flashed in his eyes, probably to prevent me from having a private conversation with my mother. In my previous life, he had always sowed discord between me and my mother. My mother also thought that the future of the Jiang Corporation couldn't be handed over to me. She would always love me, but she almost handed over all the company's equity to Zhao Jianqing. In the escape room, when the skeleton prop popped out, I was quick and pulled my mother into the door on the left. Jiang Yuanzhou, as I told him, pulled Zhao Jianqing into another door to buy me some time. My mother was still in shock and patted her chest. I hugged her and cried, "Mom, I had a dream last night." I told her about what happened in my previous life, including the secret that Bai Xiaoxiao was Zhao Jianqing's illegitimate daughter. My mother's reaction was exactly the same as in my previous life. However, at that time, I directly showed her the paternity test, but my mother insisted that it was forged by me. She trusted Zhao Jianqing a lot, much more than she trusted me. The plot of this sweet and spoiling novel with a broken logic was as consistent as ever. Before she met Zhao Jianqing, she was a capable and decisive female elite. After marrying him, she became a clingy little woman, just like Bai Xiaoxiao. When she met the main male characters in the plot, she would become so weak that she couldn't take care of herself. My mother didn't believe my words but promised me that she wouldn't tell anyone. She didn't want to destroy the harmony of the family, but the seed of doubt was planted. I didn't gain nothing either. Zhao Jianqing had already come over at this time. I gave Jiang Yuanzhou an okay gesture. Jiang Yuanzhou noticed the exhaustion in my eyes and handed me a bottle of water. My mother answered a phone call and quickly called Zhao Jianqing and went back to the company. But Jiang Yuanzhou didn't leave. "You'd better go home first." I had no energy left, and the helplessness of not being believed by my family deeply enveloped me. "You're in a bad state." He sat beside me, with an arm's distance between us, while I was in a daze. He came back with an ice cream cone when I was unhappy before. My mother would always buy me one. Seeing his serious expression, I stopped crying and laughed. "This is the first time I've seen you talk so much." He was a bit unnatural. My mother used to say the same thing. I sighed. "Auntie must be a very nice person, right? I also want to meet such a nice person." His tone was still as plain as boiled water. "She passed away." I was stunned, and then I said, "Then you're living with your father now. He must also be a very nice person to have raised you so well." "He's also passed away." He seemed to be talking about someone else's business, as calm as still water, but the more he was like this, the greater the pain in his heart must be. There's a sentence in The Seventh Day that says the departure of a loved one is not a sudden downpour but a long-lasting dampness in this life. I suddenly remembered, during the time after I died, when my soul was wandering in the air. I once saw him attend my funeral, and his expression was just as calm. In order to make my mother trust me again, I immersed myself in my studies, wanting her to know that I wasn't completely useless. Jiang Yuanzhou gave me all his previous notes. Seeing how hard I was working now, he wasn't surprised at all. He took the initiative to explain the knowledge points that I didn't understand in a more accessible way. In the last final exam, I was ranked 490th in the grade. There were a total of more than 500 students. I was really bad before. When this time's grades came out, I had advanced 300 places. Jiang Yuanzhou was first, Guxing was second, and Bai Xiaoxiao was fifth. I was about to go find Jiang Yuanzhou, but Bai Xiaoxiao stopped me in front of the ranking list, looking aggrieved. "Xiaoyan, I know you don't like me, but I can also give you tutoring lessons." I frowned. "You've even regressed yourself. You'd better take care of yourself first." Previously, before she met Guxing, she was at least always second in exams. She persistently chased after me and asked, Xing has been ignoring me recently. You've known him since childhood, so you must know how I can win him back. I replied with a cold expression. I don't know, you must have a way. Her eyes turned slightly red, and this look was very effective in arousing people's protective instincts, but unfortunately, I wasn't the male lead. I smiled and said. Do you really need his favor that much? Naonieo looked a bit dazed at my question. I continued, before you met him, you had excellent grades, and your learning and practical abilities were never inferior to others. Even I have to admit that you're very smart, but now, you've become a daughter flower that depends on others. Do you really have to rely on others to survive? In the plot, Naonieo got into a very good school, but in her junior year of college, she got pregnant, dropped out, and was kept at home by Xing, living off his favor. The female lead in a sweet romance novel is actually also a supporting character, just a more advanced one than the others. Without him, it's like a fancy robe losing its lice. It would only feel more comfortable to wear. Naonieo bit her lip and remained silent. I realized I had said too much and didn't want to pay attention to her anymore. Among the classmates who squeezed in to check the grades, someone shouted. There's a fight at the basketball court. This sentence was like throwing a bomb into the crowd. In an instant, everyone rushed to the basketball court to watch the commotion, and today was the date when Jiang Yuanzhou and Xing had agreed to compete. The injured person had already been taken to the infirmary. It was Xing who had fouled by throwing the basketball at Jiang Yuanzhou. Jiang Yuanzhou blocked it with his left arm. There was no time to cushion the impact, and he suffered a comminuted fracture. He had already been put in a cast. Xing didn't think he was in the wrong. Isn't he just looking for compensation? I have plenty of money. These words were exactly the same as when he ran over Li Weiwei with his car in the previous life. I rushed up and slapped Xing across the face. Got so much money, huh? Xing was left stunned by my slap. Jiang Yuanzhou happened to wake up at this moment. When he opened his eyes and saw me hitting Xing and the slap mark on Xing's face, he was also stunned. Maybe he didn't expect me to be so fierce. Xing angrily glared at Jiang Yuanzhou and then looked at me. You hit me for him. Exactly, you deserved it. My hand stung painfully. Jiang Yuanzhou handed me the ice cube in his hand. Does it hurt? I didn't decline. You know what? It really stings. The school organized a 1-week study tour. Before I left, my mother said she wanted to give me a reward for my improved grades. She said mysteriously that I had to wait until I got back to receive it. I was a bit worried, so I got a new phone card and gave it to Aunt Wang, telling her to call me if anything happened. Zhao Jianqing was good at playing dirty tricks. When I packed my things and rushed to the school gate, the bus was already full, except for an empty seat next to Jiang Yuanzhou. He still hadn't had his cast removed, and he looked rather clumsy. He tried to get up to let me in. I stopped him. People are constantly walking up and down the aisle. You might get bumped. A blush crept up his cheeks. I'll be fine. Injuries to bones and muscles take 100 days to heal. I smiled. Since this study tour counted towards credits, no one could ask for leave. Xing was also on the bus, but the person sitting next to him wasn't Naonieo. Naonieo was sitting with another girl, chatting and laughing. When Xing saw me, his face darkened. He couldn't help but call out to Naonieo, but she ignored him. Furious, Xing kicked the seat in front of him, but his foot got stuck. It took him a long time to pull it out, and his shoe was even pulled off. Jiang Yuanzhou sat quietly beside me and somehow fell asleep. His head uncontrollably leaned towards me and rested on my shoulder. I didn't want to disturb him at first, but he woke up on his own. When he woke up and saw that his head was on my shoulder, he immediately sat up straight. I'm sorry. I shook my head with a smile. You should say, thank you. Li Weiwei, who was sitting in front of us, suddenly leaned over with a mischievous smile. You little rascal, taking advantage of our Zhao Yan. Jiang Yuanzhou's eyes were clear, and his face turned red. I slapped Li Weiwei. Stop talking nonsense. Li Weiwei didn't let him off. Zhao Yan loves SpongeBob SquarePants the most. Her birthday is coming up. Thank me quickly, or you'll have to rack your brains. Jiang Yuanzhou really only said 3 words. Thank you. She's just kidding. Don't take it seriously. I knew Jiang Yuanzhou was in a difficult situation and never really expected him to prepare a birthday gift for me, but he asked, when exactly is it? I waved my hand. It's just a birthday. I usually only celebrate it with my family. His expression turned a bit dejected. Okay, I said, don't forget that promise. Consider it my birthday gift. It's very important to me. I won't forget. Jiang Yuanzhou. I called him. He always responded to me immediately, even if he didn't know what to say. "You're really nice." He was taken aback for a moment. "You are too, very nice." Halfway through the study tour, the teacher in charge suddenly came to me. She said that my mother had passed away. She and Zhao Jianqing had gone on a trip to the mountains and accidentally fell off a cliff. It was exactly the same as when I fell off a building in my previous life. That was my mother, yet I was the last one to know the news. I immediately booked a flight back. When I arrived home, my mother's body had already been cremated. Zhao Jianqing's eyes were puffy, and everyone who came to my mother's funeral told him to mourn her loss. He was being hypocritical. I directly grabbed his collar. "How did my mother die?" The people around me rebuked me, saying that Zhao Jianqing was just as heartbroken as I was over the loss of his wife, and that I had been spoiled rotten by my mother for treating my father this way. Zhao Jianqing's act was flawless. In the eyes of others, he was still a good father and a good husband, only I knew how hypocritical and disgusting he was. At this point, all the shares under my mother's name had been transferred to his. I didn't know how he had coaxed my mother into signing the share transfer papers. Su Enterprises was now completely his. Jiang Yuanzhou came back with me. Amidst the accusations of my unfilial behavior, he pulled me out of the mourning hall. I didn't know how I walked out. It felt like I was still living in a dream. My mother was gone, much earlier than in my previous life. My mind was in a mess. I'm sure my mother was killed by him, but in the eyes of everyone else, I was just a willful, arrogant, and spoiled rich girl. But I have no evidence. Aunt Wang had also been fired. From beginning to end, that new phone number never called me. Presumably, she had been bribed by Zhao Jianqing. Next, Zhao Jianqing would hire someone to kill me. It felt like all my fighting spirit disappeared in an instant. Everything had seemed to be getting better. "Let's find the evidence. I'll be with you." Jiang Yuanzhou's words gave me a glimmer of hope in the midst of my despair. If I just gave up and wallowed in grief, I would be letting my mother down. These days, I always felt like I was being followed. No need to guess, it was the people sent by Zhao Jianqing. As long as he used the same old tricks, he would have no more threats. When I turned around, I saw Gu Xing. In the previous life, he had instructed Zhao Jianqing. In this life, Zhao Jianqing also seemed to have gained his own consciousness. An idea came to me, and I led Gu Xing to the unfinished building where I died in the previous life. This place was remote, and hardly anyone ever came here. Gu Xing said he already knew he was the male lead in this world. He roared hysterically, asking why we all wanted to leave him. Unexpectedly, he accidentally pushed me off the 10th floor. He was afraid of heights and didn't dare to look down. What's more, after killing someone with his own hands, he fled the unfinished building in a panic. This scene was seen by the person hired by Zhao Jianqing, who called Zhao Jianqing, saying that the task was completed and asking for the final payment. I grabbed the pre-prepared climbing rope and used it to jump into the 9th floor. I watched Gu Xing flee in terror, as if he had seen a ghost, and drive away quickly. When I left, it suddenly started to rain heavily, as if it wanted to wash away all the traces. The plot also seemed to be acquiescing to my disappearance. I smiled mockingly. From now on, I would only live well. When I knocked on Jiang Yuanzhou's door, he looked extremely surprised. I was soaking wet, like a water ghost who had just climbed out of the river, with water still dripping from my hair. "Jiang Yuanzhou, can you take me in?" I forced a pale smile. He didn't say yes or no, just replied, "Okay." He found one of his T-shirts, probably worried that I would dislike it. He said, "It's new." Jiang Yuanzhou was much taller than me. After I took a shower, the T-shirt hung loosely on me, looking a bit like a child wearing an adult's clothes. There was only one bedroom in Jiang Yuanzhou's house, and he lived alone. He had already changed the bed sheets. When he saw me standing at the door, he stopped what he was doing. There was an awkward silence between us. He was embarrassed, and I wasn't much better. I spoke first. I've changed the bed sheets. You can stay in the bedroom from now on." I felt a bit at a loss. "Then where will you sleep?" He was even more flustered than me. "There's a fold-out bed in the living room. I'll sleep there." Jiang Yuanzhou's room was very simple. Besides a bed, there was a wall full of books, and some documents were stacked on the floor. I told him about what had happened these days, including my fake death and now having nowhere to go. He didn't ask anything, just said, "You've been through a lot, haven't you?" I didn't know what else to say. "I guess so. Ever since my mother died, I had been having trouble sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, Zhao Jianqing's ugly face would appear in front of me." I heard someone shouting downstairs, "Today is the Mid-Autumn Festival. time to go home and reunite with your family. The Mid-Autumn Festival was also my birthday. In the past, my whole family would celebrate it together. Before I left, my mother said she would prepare both my reward and my birthday gift, but now, I didn't have a mother anymore. I stared blankly at the people downstairs going back and forth, heading home to reunite with their families. Jiang Yuanzhou somehow brought out a birthday cake shaped like SpongeBob SquarePants. I was surprised. I don't think I ever said today was my birthday. He turned on the TV and said casually. I asked Li Weiwei. On the TV, SpongeBob SquarePants was playing. Patrick knocked on SpongeBob's door and said, "Hey, SpongeBob, let's go jellyfishing." Jiang Yuanzhou was usually serious and rarely smiled. The next moment, he imitated Patrick's voice, mustering all his courage, and said, "Hey, Miss Sue, let's go jellyfishing." There was an assembled computer in Jiang Yuanzhou's house. He asked me for the new phone number I gave to Aunt Wang. I might be able to track its location. He spoke calmly. I remembered the plot in the novel. Jiang Yuanzhou started his business in the technology company and later expanded into many other industries. After about an hour, he looked a bit discouraged. "It seems, I failed." "Thank you." I paused. "You've already helped me a lot." He brought me news from school. Sure enough, Zhao Jianqing assumed I was dead, and the school had already completed the procedures for my suspension. He told others that his daughter was just a troublemaker and must be resentful towards him. So she didn't want to come home. I clenched my fists. This murderer. The day before yesterday, I dreamt of my mother again. She didn't say anything, just waved at me from a distance. Outside the window, the sun was setting, and the sunset was a fiery red, just like the background when she left last night. Jiang Yuanzhou, I miss my mom. I couldn't stop the tears from flowing. When I left home, I didn't take anything with me. Not a single thing that belonged to her. Jiang Yuanzhou tried his best to comfort me. Me too, he added. When my mom first passed away, I told myself that she would come back after I took a nap. He gently closed the bedroom door as he left. I closed my eyes. Take a nap. After a nap, Mom will come back. Jiang Yuanzhou spent a whole week continuously trying to find the IP address of the phone card, and finally, he located it. It wasn't in Shanghai City but in a rural area of a neighboring city. It happened to be the weekend. And I originally planned to go alone, but Jiang Yuanzhou bought 2 tickets. Let's go together. When getting on the bus, he reached out his hand, and I naturally took it. His arm stiffened. I smiled at him. Why are you shy? It's not like we haven't held hands before. Actually, I wanted to say about the tickets. The tips of his ears turned red. Indeed, both tickets were in my hand. Ah, you could just ask me for them. I quickly covered up my embarrassment. The bus swayed for over 2 hours before finally reaching the destination. When we found Aunt Wang, I didn't expect her to look terrified. The first thing she said was that she had evidence. I know how your mother died. There's a video of that day in the camera. She asked me for 300,000 yuan and a plane ticket to go abroad, saying that her safety had to be guaranteed. She already had a passport that my family had applied for her before, but she had never used it. I'll give it to you. Jiang Yuanzhou said he could figure out the money. He had just received his scholarship, and he also had his previous savings and the money left to him by his parents. 0,000 yuan was just pocket money to me, but to him, it was everything he had. Fortunately, I had previously applied for a card that Zhao Jianqing didn't know about, and there was enough money in it. After watching Aunt Wang enter the airport, she finally gave me the camera and left the country as if running for her life. I teased Jiang Yuanzhou. Aren't you worried that I won't pay you back and run away with the money? He thought seriously for a while. If you do, there's nothing I can do. I backed up the videos in the camera. Jiang Yuanzhou never told anyone that I was still alive. He was very cautious every time he came home, until Bai Niao came to his door. Jiang Yuanzhou's home was located in the old city area. The door was made of wood and didn't have a peephole. Jiang Yuanzhou went to open the door. I happened to be in the living room and saw her at a glance. I knew you wouldn't die so easily. She had changed from before. I thought she had come as a spy for Zhao Jianqing. Unexpectedly, she gave me a backup of a recording. Zhao Jianqing had installed a lot of bugging devices at home, including in the study. The recording was the part where Zhao Jianqing pressured my mother to transfer the shares. I heard my mother's long, missed voice. It turned out that share transfer document was originally intended for me, a gift for my academic progress, but Zhao Jianqing replaced it and had a huge argument with my mother. Later, when my mother's emotions calmed down, He used his usual sweet words to apologize to her and accompanied her on a trip to the mountains to relax. I forced myself to listen to the entire recording. There was a long silence, and my heart ached coldly. I asked Bainionieo, "Why are you helping me?" Bainionieo no longer had that frailness that made her seem like she could fall over at the slightest breeze. Instead, her original tenacity had returned. She was supposed to be a flower that breaks through the stones, never a daughter flower, because I have a mother too. For wealth and status, Zhao Jianqing abandoned his first love and deceived two people. She had drifted from place to place with her mother until her mother died, and only then did Zhao Jianqing want to make amends for her. Bainionieo had finally come to her senses. Later, she cooperated with me to make that video public when Zhao Jianqing was at the height of his glory. At the same time, I handed the evidence to the police. As a successful entrepreneur, Zhao Jianqing was handcuffed and taken away by the police while giving a speech in a large auditorium filled with thousands of people. I visited him in prison. He had a shaved head and almost jumped off his chair when he saw me. I said through the glass, "Zhao Jianqing, I didn't die as you wished." He flew into a rage. "You're my child. What good does it do you to lock me up here?" I sneered. "Have you ever really thought about what it means for me to be your daughter?" Ever since I died in my previous life, I had never regarded him as my father. The corner of his mouth curled into a contemptuous smile. "Do you want to know why I killed that woman? She actually did a paternity test between me and my illegitimate daughter." At that moment, I knew she couldn't be kept alive. When I walked out in a daze, Jiang Yuanzhou was waiting for me outside the prison. I sat nearby for a long time. Seeing that I didn't speak, he remained silent as well. I wiped the tears from my face. "Jiang Yuanzhou, I finally understand that my mother didn't not believe me. In fact, she wanted to hand Su Enterprises over to me." My heart felt heavy. I had thought that my mother never took seriously the words I said in the escape room. She had her doubts and vigilance. It was just that Zhao Jianqing was too vicious, only caring about his own interests and disregarding human ethics and the law. The day I went back to school to complete the re-enrollment procedures, someone next to me was going through the procedure of quitting school. I noticed the applicant's name, Gu Xing. After asking around, I learned that Gu Xing had gone crazy since the day he pushed me off the building. He kept telling everyone that he was the male lead and that the whole world existed to serve him. He even claimed that no matter how many people he killed with his car, there would always be others willing to go to prison for him. Seeing that he had gone insane, the Gu family was afraid he would embarrass them if he went out, so they sent him to a psychiatric hospital. I heard that his condition was getting worse and worse. He rambled on every day, saying he wanted to run over all the doctors. The doctors were at a loss and could only give him sedatives to keep him from getting too agitated. At this time, as an outstanding student, Bainionieo had received a free study abroad offer. She had already gotten the official offer letter before she left. I went to see her off. When she saw me, her eyes turned red, and she gave me a hug. "Xiaoyan, thank you for waking me up." "You're welcome, you helped me too." I waved to her and watched her figure fade away. In fact, there's no need for supporting characters to set off the main characters. We can all be kind, brave, innocent, and confident. She was going to embrace her future. At this moment, I officially declared that I had broken free from the shackles of the plot. I was truly free and truly reborn. When I turned around, I saw Jiang Yuanzhou. He was not far away, always waiting for me. I walked towards him with a bright smile. "Hey, classmate Jiang, let's go jellyfishing." Extra the male lead, Jiang Yuanzhou was the only character in the plot who had a sense of self-awareness. Although he had it, it was limited. He could only follow the plot. Outside the plot, he also needed to conform to the persona of the affectionate second male lead. During the few times he helped Su Xiaoyan, he couldn't say a single extra word. All he could show was indifference. After his death, the main god of the novel's plane found him. "Congratulations, the only character with a bit of self-awareness among us." The man interlaced his fingers, his tone full of mockery. Jiang Yuanzhou had always been cold-tempered. He said, "What's there to congratulate? It's nothing but torture." He watched the person he liked running towards destruction. He could do nothing. Obviously, he detested Gu Xing so much, yet he had to go to prison for him according to the plot and watch Gu Xing get away with everything. The man smiled triumphantly and said playfully, "Actually, once all the main characters awaken and break free from the plot will cease to exist completely." "Oh." Jiang Yuanzhou glanced at his wristwatch, where the time was frozen. The man said proudly, "I can make the time on your watch start moving again." Or I can make it go back." He didn't finish his sentence, deliberately leaving Jiang Yuanzhou in suspense before continuing. "In the plot, there's always one person who has self-awareness, but what?" Jiang Yuanzhou, who had been silent, suddenly seemed a bit impatient. "He is, but the degree of self-awareness awakening varies for each person. For example, in your case, it's very limited, and you can only follow the plot. Then next time, who will it be?" Jiang Yuanzhou became very excited. "It will be," the man smiled. "Anyway, it won't be the one you like. Can it be her? I'm willing to trade anything," Jiang Yuanzhou blurted out without thinking, but the man took his time. "Well, the price might be a bit steep. All your possessions are part of the plot, so, are you really willing to trade anything?" The man crossed his fingers and looked down on everyone with an air of superiority. "Yes, 10 years of your lifespan. And in every reincarnation in the future, you will lose 10 years of your lifespan." The man was about to leave. He was tired of saying such things. Almost everyone who came here had asked the same questions. If it were just for one lifetime, 90% of people would agree, but once the loss was eternal, very few people were willing to pay such a price. "Okay," Jiang Yuanzhou replied calmly and firmly. The man laughed. "You really are infatuated." When choosing the time point for Su Zhaoyan to go back, he smiled cunningly and deliberately said it as the day when Jiang Yuanzhou's confession was rejected. He said triumphantly, "Go and see the joke of this infatuated fool." Story 2. In my previous life, I was drugged and sought help from my fiancé, only to be schemed against and photographed by him, which led to my death. After being reborn, I threw myself into the arms of a rugged mechanic. The tall man's eyes were somber, and he restrained his voice. "Sweetheart, don't play games with me." Trying to appear calm, I hooked my arms around his neck, my voice trembling. "I don't care, I want this." In the end, I faced the consequences, my throat raw from crying, sobbing, and cursing him as a jerk. Jolie gently kissed the tears from the corners of my eyes, his voice soothing and coaxing. "Yeah, the jerk loves you. Want to see how much more of a jerk I can be?" 01. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself in the bedroom of a hilltop villa. My body felt as if it was burning with fire. Struggling with the unbearable heat, I ripped open my collar, instantly realizing that I had been reborn. I had returned to the night I was drugged. In my past life, feeling unwell, I had instinctively sought help from my fiancé, Qing Jingye. However, he refused to take me to the hospital under the pretext that it was unsafe to travel in the storm, and took advantage of my unconscious state to take compromising photos of me. Step by step, he blackmailed and threatened me, leading to the ruin of my family and my death with unfulfilled desires. Footsteps sounded outside the door. Startled, my nerves tensed. Given another chance, I could not make the same mistakes. Taking a deep breath, I stumbled out of bed and rushed down to the garage on the lower floor. Rongxi, Jolie was wearing a black sleeveless vest. His muscular chest taut, clearly outlining his muscular contours. He was holding a 10-kilogram tire, his arms bulging with veins, silently exuding a strong hormonal scent. My throat went dry, feeling an overwhelming restlessness building inside me. "Jolie, I feel terrible. Please help me." I threw caution to the wind and flung myself into his embrace, gripping his lean waist. Although Jolie was inexperienced in romantic matters, he quickly sensed that something was off. His body stiffened, and his eyes shifted from confusion to concern. "Rongxi, let's go to the hospital now." Jolie was the son of our housekeeper, and after I was to marry Qing Jingye, he volunteered to be my driver. He was always quiet and just silently did his work beside me, perhaps because of his background, or perhaps because he valued me too much. He never revealed his feelings. It wasn't until after I was killed by Qing Jingye in my past life that he built a vast business empire within a decade, forcing Qing Jingye into bankruptcy and exile. At last, he avenged me by tormenting Qing to death abroad. Only then did I realize that to be closer to me, he had always been hiding his capabilities, even at the cost of his own prospects. This time, I wanted to take his hand proactively. "No, I just want you." I buried my face in his chest, rubbing against him uncontrollably. Jolie's breathing deepened instantly. After a moment, he spoke again, his voice hoarse. "Sweetheart, we're not suitable. I'm too much for you. I don't even have a car or a house." My face flushed red, so Jolie was, repressed. Trying to stay calm, I hooked my arms around his neck, my voice trembling. "I don't care, I want you." Jolie breathed heavily and closed his eyes. "Listen, let go of me. We need to see a doctor." His restraint was at its limit, the pale blue veins on his neck bulging prominently. Overwhelmed by the drug, I lost my grip on reason. I was so lost in my thoughts that I couldn't hear what he was saying. I stubbornly refused to let go. The only thought in my mind was to be with Jolie. As my consciousness blurred, I stared dumbfounded at the movement of his Adam's apple and began to nibble on it gently. Jolie, it's too late now. It would take at least 2 hours to get down the mountain to the hospital. Do you really want to watch me get into trouble? Or would you rather I turn to someone else for help? Unable to restrain himself any longer, Jolie grabbed my waist, flipped me over, and pressed me against the car door. Rongshi, do you know who I am? Jolie, The cold glass at the back of my neck made me instinctively shrink forward into Jolie's arms. He smoothly took control, pulling me closer into his embrace. His passionate kisses rained down overwhelmingly. He whispered soothingly as he kissed me, say my name, be good. After much turmoil, my voice was hoarse from crying. And I truly understood the meaning of asking for trouble. Jolie, I can't, it's too cold. I scrambled for excuses, pushing him away with my hands. Jolie complied and then carried me back into the car. He lightly laughed as he stroked the unstoppable sweat on my body. Still cold, the temperature inside the sealed car climbed rapidly. Cold, so cold. Oh, then we need to move a bit more, darling. Exercise generates heat. My rationality had shattered long ago. It took me a while to grasp the implications of his words. I stared blankly at the fog forming on the rear seat glass, crying even harder. Jolie leaned over, kissed the tears from the corners of my eyes, his smile mocking. Why cry? This is exactly what you wanted, although, I initially meant age, but what you thought isn't entirely wrong either. Embarrassed and annoyed, I covered my face, completely breaking down. 02. When I awoke the next day, I was already back in my room. Dressed in a clean nightgown, it must have been Jolie who took care of me. Remembering Jolie's wildness from the night before, my face flushed again. Little she, where were you last night? Qingjingye came in without knocking, looking upset. Do I need to report my whereabouts to you? I pulled the blanket around me and responded coldly. I didn't mean it like that, I was just worried about you. Qingjingye was caught off guard by my cold demeanor, thinking it might be because of his tone. After the failure of his plans last night, he still needed to maintain his considerate and harmless facade to gain my trust. Why is your face so red? Do you have a fever? He stepped forward with concern, trying to touch my forehead, but I dodged him. Get away, don't touch me. During the tussle, my loose nightgown slipped off. Qingjingye stared at the ambiguous red marks on my shoulder, stunned. The next moment, he gripped me fiercely and roared, who the hell have you been with? Was it that mechanic? I checked the surveillance this morning and saw him carrying you out of the elevator. I can't believe you betrayed me. I winced in pain, pushing him away fiercely. It's none of your business who I'm with. Yes, I was with him. How could you? Weren't you the one who slept with my cousin first? How dare you accuse me of betrayal? Qingjingye, you disgust me. Shocked, Qingjingye's expression quickly changed. Cece, how did you find out? It's not what you think. She seduced me, and I was drunk that night. I don't remember a thing. Cece, I get it now. You're trying to get back at me, right? It's okay. I don't mind that he touched you. Let's call it even and move on from here. Qingjingye originally wanted to stand on moral high ground and criticize me, taking the opportunity to extort me. But now that he was the first to cheat, if I decided to call off the engagement, he would gain nothing. He became panicked. His explanations full of contradictions and errors. Cece, I knew it. You wouldn't fall for that mechanic. You must have been tricked by him. Yes, I remember he brought you milk last night. Did he drug it? I was wrong not to trust you. It was my fault for not protecting you. I'll send the cup for testing right now. You're just angry with me, right? How could that poor guy ever be worthy of you? Irritated, I glared at him, about to tell him to leave. But then I suddenly remembered that in my previous life, he had also shifted all the blame to Jolie after the incident, using it to portray himself as deeply in love with me. Jolie ended up wrongly imprisoned. No, this time I couldn't let Jolie get hurt in any way, so I suppressed my disgust and lowered my eyes. But you cheated. Why do you still care what I do? I wanted to lower Qingjingye's guard to get close enough to find evidence of his false testimony. Qingjingye still thought I was the naive young lady. His eyes lit up immediately. Cece, I knew you were just upset with me. Last night felt so strange. Plus being upset about your cheating. Otherwise I would never have ended up with that mechanic. I steered the topic towards the drugged milk. But just as I finished speaking, The sound of shattering glass came from the door. Damn it, Jolie must have heard and misunderstood. 03, I couldn't worry about anything else. I grabbed a jacket and ran after him. The SUV sped away dangerously fast down the mountain road, leaving only a trail of exhaust fumes behind. I rushed to the garage and drove after him, being too anxious and with too many curves on the mountain road. I didn't manage the throttle well and crashed into a guardrail. I screamed. Covering my head, the car barely hung on. My forehead throbbed painfully from hitting the airbag. Terrified, I shakily called the police and then dialed Jolie. Once I called, I regretted it. I was too scared, forgetting he was angry and probably didn't want to deal with me. But he answered immediately. Hello. Hearing his voice, I burst into tears. Jolie, I had a car accident. I think I'm going to die. His initially indifferent voice instantly turned anxious. Get out of the car and move to a safe location. I'm coming to get you right now. Jolie arrived even before the police. He informed my assistant to handle the situation and took me directly to the hospital. Fortunately, there were no serious injuries. The doctor said it was just minor abrasions and a concussion. Feeling like I had narrowly escaped disaster, I clung to Jolie's arm and refused to let go. Jolie's face remained stern. He was so serious. Completely different from the affectionate way he called me good girl and kissed me last night. Let go. No. How can the doctor treat you if you don't let go? Jolie, then you hold me while applying it. That's against the rules. He spoke with a tone that was all business. I immediately felt tears welling up in my eyes. The doctor gave Jolie a stern look, annoyed. What's the matter with you, young man? Your girlfriend has just been frightened and needs comforting. Instead, you're upsetting her even more. I'm not her. Woo. Jolie, you change your tune as soon as you get out of bed, but that's not what you said yesterday. Feeling aggrieved, I complained loudly. The doctor looked at him with a disdainful expression reserved for scoundrels. Jolie sighed in resignation as he saw my tears. My ancestor, I really owe you. The doctor, acting like someone who had seen it all, started lecturing Jolie. Young man, your girlfriend has eyes only for you. She loves you so much, you should cherish her. Don't be so impatient with girls. Look at your girlfriend's delicate arms and legs. She obviously doesn't have much strength. You need to protect her. I felt a bit guilty and blinked sheepishly. From Jolie's perspective, I probably seemed like the scoundrel who'd turn her back on someone after getting her way. I'll remember that. Thank you. Jolie didn't argue but nodded in agreement. He silently lowered his rolled-up shirt sleeve when the doctor handed him the bill. Jolie's forearm was covered in red marks from where I had scratched him the night before. After treating my wounds, the doctor suggested I stay in the hospital for observation. Jolie completed the formalities and was about to leave. Don't worry, the caretaker will be here at 5 tomorrow morning. I jumped out of the hospital bed without even putting on slippers, blocking the doorway with my arms spread. Jolie, I'm scared to sleep alone. I'm frightened. He looked down at me with a subdued voice. Miss, I'm just a car mechanic. I can't get involved in your love games. Jolie, last night was my choice, and I knew exactly what I was doing. I didn't deceive you. The reason I said those insincere things today was to trick Qingjinya into revealing if he drugged me. After all, you can never be too careful with such underhanded tactics. That was my strategy. I was just worried about a misunderstanding between us. That's why I rushed to explain. Don't you think, if I was using you, why would I be so anxious to explain? Right. I hurriedly finished speaking, cautiously looking at Jolie. He remained silent, his emotions hidden in the depths of his eyes. Nervously, I bit my lip and added, Jolie, please don't misunderstand me. Okay. The cold tiles made me curl my toes. In the next instant, Jolie picked me up. The floor is cold. I clung to him like a koala, my legs tightly wrapped around his waist. He still cares about me after all. Jolie, please, stay with me tonight. I was really scared today. I blinked pitifully, trying to garner some sympathy. Miss, you really weren't sober last night. We can pretend it never happened. As for the truth and the purpose, you don't need to stoop to explain it to me. As expected, he still didn't quite believe me. So, I had to pull out all the stops. I kept his face, tilting mine to look him in the eyes. Jolie, I like you. I could feel Jolie's muscles tense up all over. His eyelashes fluttered slightly, and his breathing became choppy for a few seconds. Come on. Don't play games with me. Resolved, I reached down. Jolie, I'm very sober now, and you clearly like me too, don't you? I feigned innocence and curved my lips, poking him with my fingertip. Jolie, don't lie. Your body is much harder than your words. His Adam's apple bobbed. And fine sweat appeared on Jolie's forehead. Come on, you're the one who provoked me, whether you're sincere or not, I won't let you go again. I kissed his lips. I just want to be with you. Before I could finish, he pinned me down on the couch, like a wild beast out of control. He moved tirelessly. Be gentle, please, jerk, ow, please, be gentle. Sweat dripped and heat rose. Jolie ignored my protests, his voice husky in my ear. Yeah, I'm a jerk, but this jerk loves you. Is this all? There's worse to come. Do you want to see? Come on, open your eyes. Jolie gripped my jaw, forcing me to look in the mirror. It was too embarrassing. My face flushed, and as I tried to hide, he pressed me even closer. Jolie, you jerk, stop, hurry up and stop. He held me by the waist with such strength it felt like he could crush my bones. The ceiling above spun, the crystal chandelier shook so fast it blurred. I was at a loss for words, tears of pain escaping from the corners of my eyes. He bent down, biting and licking my shoulder and neck, his voice rough. Poor thing. But this is the punishment a little liar deserves. Also, a little liar doesn't have the right to stop. Under my persistent soft and hard tactics, Jolie became my personal caretaker, looking after me 24 hours a day in the hospital. I knew my changes were too sudden for Jolie, hard for him to accept at once. After all, a young miss who never had anything to do with him suddenly clinging to the family's mechanic was bound to seem odd to anyone. Still, Jolie wasn't used to expressing his love in front of me yet. But that's okay, although he still appeared indifferent, he no longer resisted my closeness. He even crawled into bed to hold me whenever I had a nightmare. On the day of my discharge, Chinjinya came with the police. He looked much worn out, apparently troubled by his inability to find a scapegoat. Cece, why didn't you tell me you were sick? I'd been looking for you for a long time. Did this mechanic hide you away? Don't be afraid, I'm coming to rescue you, I said. This Jolie is just trying to cling to you. That day, he was the one who drugged you. This poor guy is really crazy about money. Not even considering his own status while dreaming of marrying into a wealthy family. Jolie's fists tightened, and when he looked at me, his eyes were filled with silence. He seemed to not believe that I would trust him. My heart clenched, and I firmly grabbed his wrist, interlocking our fingers one by one until our hands were fully clasped. Under Jolie's astonished gaze, I seriously said, you mean that night in the garage? It was just a bit of marital fun. My husband's in such good shape. I couldn't help myself. What's wrong? Can't we play a bit in our own car? As for the drugging, what evidence do you have to prove my husband did it? Chinjinya's face turned as dark as the bottom of a pot, looking at me as if seeing a madwoman. Cece, why are you speaking up for this mechanic? I am your fiancé. Don't be mad at me. I really realize my mistake now. Right, the inspection report. I just got this report and haven't opened it yet. It's the best proof. Chinjinya handed me the report eagerly, as if placing all his hopes on it. Cece, you must have been deceived by him. Only I truly care about you. Once you see the mechanic's true colors, can we go back to how things were? I won't blame you for being momentarily confused. I scoffed coldly, calmly tearing open the report and displaying it for everyone to see. Oops, the fingerprints on the cup are all your own, aren't they? Impossible. He froze in place, visibly panicking. I continued flipping through the report. Not only yours but also my cousin's. I handed the report to the police, my smile deepening. Tell me, which one of you is the mastermind and which one the accomplice? After the car accident, I had someone track Chinjinya. I bribed the testing institution ahead of him to present the real results and delayed sending them until the last moment to prevent Chinjinya from opening the report. No, it can't be. Chinjinya roared unwillingly. But before he could start making excuses to me, the police took him away. I sighed in relief and handed the suitcase to Jolie. Let's go home. Jolie did not take the suitcase but just stood there. I hesitated for a moment, then turned to look at him. What's wrong? With a slight movement in his eyes, Jolie leaned down and kissed me. It was a long, delicate kiss. I could feel his overwhelming emotions. Rongshi. What did you just call me in front of them? He caressed my cheek. His voice husky. Baby, say it again. Husband. I had initially called him that in front of the police to show my support and trust for Jolie. Now, as he coaxed me to say it again, my face turned red with shyness. Jolie held me tighter, burying his head in my neck and gently rubbing against it like an insecure big dog. Jolie, you believe now that I really like you, right? No matter what happens, I will always stand by your side. I stroked his buzz cut, whispering softly, Rongshi. Don't lie to me. He bit my collarbone hard as if stamping it. I would die. Later, I headed straight to my father's office. After being blackmailed by Qing Jingye with compromising photos in my previous life, I endured silently for the sake of my family and company. I'm not one to easily submit to others. I'd rather go down fighting than be a stepping stone for the wicked. I wasn't afraid of rumors and even considered leaking the photos myself to get ahead of the situation. However, at that time, I still hadn't seen the true colors of my family. I was afraid that my scandal would drag down the company's stock price and destroy what my mother had worked for her entire life. I couldn't bear to see lower-level employees suffer, facing pay cuts or layoffs due to company issues. Thus, I alone endured inhuman torment while publicly playing the role of a loving wife to Qing Jingye. Over those years, I was always looking for an opportunity to turn the tables. But just when I finally found solid evidence of Qing Jingye's infidelity and corruption, my father confined me to the attic at home and banned any media from publishing my submissions. It turned out he had been complicit from the start. He resented having to ingratiate himself with my mother for years, who left all her shares to me when she died, and resented not being respected by the board, with everyone looking only to me for leadership. So he conspired with Qing Jingye to gradually usurp my shares, promote his illegitimate daughter, and eventually consolidate power in his own hands. By then, Qing Jingye had marginalized me for years. I was powerless, and even upon learning the truth, I couldn't fight back. Overwhelmed with anger, I vomited blood incessantly. In the end, I took my mocking stepsister with me as I fell from the attic, dying a gruesome death. This time, I planned to distance myself early from this cold-blooded family. Dad, you wouldn't want your precious daughter to end up in jail, would you? I straightforwardly slammed a surveillance tape on the table, my smile grim. What do you mean? My father's face paled. Your illegitimate daughter Lin Cece, in cahoots with Qing Jingye, drugged me. You know about this, right? Now, all evidence points to them, and they can't escape. The only way is to have one of them take all the blame. I glanced at Lin Cece's ashen face and smirked. Besides the surveillance, I have plenty of evidence against you. Worst case, I could also sign a settlement agreement with you. But tell me, if I hand these over to Qing Jingye, what choice do you think he'll make? Lin Cece suddenly stood up, her expression rigid. Impossible. Don't try to sow discord. Brother Qing Jingye wouldn't do this to me. He already said that if there's no other way, he'd choose to turn himself in to protect me. Really? I smirked playfully, turning to my father. I just informed Qing Jingye about this situation. I guess he must be restless by now. Sure enough, as soon as I finished speaking, Lin Cece's phone started ringing wildly. See, Brother Qing Jingye cares about me. He always checks if I've eaten at this time. He wouldn't act as you said. She spoke anxiously, suppressing the unease in her heart. Hello, Brother Qing. Cece, listen to me. I love you, but now, Rongshi has solid evidence against us. Instead of both of us going down, isn't it better if only one of us does? You want me to take the blame for you? Lin Cece burst into tears, incredulously asking him, Cece, please help me, trust me, I will find a way to get you out, and besides, you don't understand anything, only I can manage the company well so we have a chance to fight back. Qing Jingye was still trying to brainwash Lin Cece, while my father, already furious, cursed out loud. So this is how you treat my daughter. My father had never liked me. Pouring all his paternal love into Lin Cece, he had agreed to collaborate with Qing Jingye because, this was largely because he valued his feelings for Lin Cece. Now, the facade of hypocrisy has been completely torn apart. What, Dad, you're there too? Dad, listen to me explain, I did it for the greater good. My dad snatched the phone and threw it away, panting heavily. He comforted Lin Cece, who was crying her eyes out. Don't worry, I won't let you go to jail. President Lin, please make an offer. Seeing the deep affection between father and daughter, I turned my face away. Whatever you want, I'll satisfy. As long as you're willing to sign a settlement agreement with Cece, President Lin is generous. I raised my eyebrows in satisfaction and handed him a contract. I will transfer all my shares in the company to you. You just need to cash them out for me. Also, I want to take all of my mother's belongings, and of course, the houses and cars she left me in her will. Add 30 million as hush money, family rate, you know. Qing Jingye even agreed to give me 35 million, and lastly, please sign this agreement to sever the father-daughter relationship. I handed the pen to my dad with a smile. My dad prided himself as an untapped talent but was actually just an arrogant fool. Handing the company over to them, it was bound to fail. after my mom's death, there was severe turmoil in the company's upper management. It wasn't as easy to manage as it seemed. In my previous life, I continuously cleaned up their messes, pulling the company back from the brink of bankruptcy numerous times. This time, I won't help these ingrates anymore, and with that incident, I've already shaken their alliance of three. Ching Jingya, a profit-seeking scumbag, will surely cause trouble in the future to expand his power. The company's bankruptcy was just a matter of time, so, let whoever wants to manage this mess take it. I just want to cash out now while the market is good and make a big score. As for this man who doesn't deserve to be a father, I couldn't care less. You don't want the company shares. My dad paused, curiosity in his eyes. I used to value the shares the most, vowing to protect my mom's company. Isn't this exactly what you want? I smiled and pretended to pull back the contract in front of him. If you think there's a problem, you don't have to sign. But I wonder when your illegitimate daughter will be able to enter the company openly. Lin Cece quickly pressed down on the contract, whispering in my dad's ear. Sister must have realized that no one loves her, and she's been so shocked that her mind isn't right. Plus, she found out we were going to harm her. She must be scared and thinking of running away. Dad, doesn't this save us trouble? With the shares, the company is yours, and I rightfully become the young lady. I smiled non-committally and admired. Sister is clever. After much hesitation, my dad still signed the contract. I left the rest to the lawyers and went to my room to pack, due to the numerous affairs that needed to be handled, and my eagerness to sever ties with my dad. I stayed in the study for a week without coming downstairs. When everything was settled, I found out that Jolie had already moved out. When did he leave? I frowned. I thought my recent confession had dispelled Jolie's concerns. On Tuesday, the butler received his resignation. My assistant said respectfully. I massaged my temples, beginning to reflect on myself. Could it be that I'd been too busy and neglected him? Miss, we found the address. Do you need a driver to take you there? I thought for a moment. Slyly, he said, just drop me off at the intersection and find me some cheap clothes. I arrived at a rental house using the address on my phone. After knocking on the door and getting no response, I crouched down by the door and applied a distressed makeup look to myself. As the sky gradually darkened, I stood up, restless, and started pacing around the house, muttering to myself, why hasn't Jolie come home yet? He's not even answering his phone. Hey, pretty girl. Who are you waiting for? It's so lonely late at night. Why don't we keep you company? You're so beautiful. Which bar do you work at? A few thugs whistled as they entered the alley, eyeing me lecherously. I stretched my limbs, my gaze falling on some beer bottles in the corner. Just as I was about to teach them a lesson, I heard familiar footsteps. Jolie appeared under the street lamp, holding a plastic bag. The light outlined his chiseled features and deep, dark eyes. I immediately sat down and started crying. Don't come over here. What am I going to do all by myself? Boo-hoo. Thinking I was scared, the lead thug grew bolder, but as he reached out his hand, it was met with a tremendous force that snapped his wrist. The sound of breaking bones was unmistakable. Jolie flung him to the ground, grinding his face under his shoe. Want to touch her? Murderous intent filled his eyes, his tone menacing and oppressive, lowering the air pressure around us. Try it if you're not afraid of dying. The thugs were instantly terrified, scrambling away as fast as they could. I stood up and threw myself into his arms. Jolie, that was really dangerous. That's why you should never leave me. I could easily get hurt. I looked up at him earnestly. Jolie pinched my cheek and chuckled. Sweetheart, I know you can handle yourself. What? No, I can't. You must be mistaken. I denied flatly. I taught you myself. Jolie added leisurely. Me, hee. The moon tonight really does look like the moon. I laughed awkwardly, shifting my gaze. Jolie chuckled but didn't expose my act further. He led me inside and put the vegetables in the fridge. The rental was small and sparsely furnished. Sit down for a while. I'll make us something to eat. You should head back early after dinner. It's not safe around here late at night. I sniffled, squeezing out a couple of tears. I told you, I'm homeless now. My dad kicked me out. And now you're sending me away too, husband. Jolie's expression darkened as he saw the news of my dad disowning me. Don't cry, sweetheart. I'll take care of you. Then why did you move out secretly? Boo-hoo, that's too much. Tell me, don't you want me anymore? Boo-hoo, I can't go on. I just got you, and now you're slipping away. Jolie put down the ingredients he was handling and scooped me back into his arms, soothing me gently. My dear, how could I ever bear to let you go? I sat astride his lap, wrapping my arms around his neck, speaking indignantly. Then why did you move here? I've started a business, but I've encountered some problems and my funds are limited, so I have to keep things simple. I didn't want you to suffer with me, so I thought we should live apart for a while. I didn't tell you because there wasn't a chance yet. You've been busy lately. I didn't want to worry you with my issues, so I planned to wait until the company's profits stabilized before sharing the news with you. My involvement accelerated Jolie's venture. With a sense of serendipity, I gently persuaded, "Why did you suddenly decide to start a business? I thought you said you wanted to be my driver for life." Jolie's ears turned a faint red. After a moment, he looked down at me. "My dear, it's because I want to marry you." Jolie always believed that the best thing a man could do when he is not capable of making a woman happy is to not disturb her. She came from a wealthy family, outstanding in both looks and background. He clearly wasn't a match for her. Due to his insecurities, he never dared to reveal his feelings. Jolie had been secretly building his business, dreaming of the day he could stand by her side. In his past life, just as Jolie's business was starting to improve, the Rong family announced their eldest daughter's engagement. Upon learning that she had a fiancé of equal social status, he felt bitter and heartbroken, but he wished her well more than anything. Because Jolie wasn't completely sure of his success in business, he chose to bury his unrequited love completely. He could endure hardship, but he couldn't let she suffer with him. In Jolie's heart, she deserved a carefree life forever. But in this life, due to she's rebirth, his dream princess took the initiative to confess her feelings to him. Jolie told himself that this was just a game she was playing to spite her fiancé, just a whim of the moment, but his heart had already completely fallen. With one word from her calling him husband, all his remaining rationality was burned away. Even if it was fake, it didn't matter. Jolie just wanted to keep her by his side, so he began to work day and night, praying that this dream would never end. The tall man was now nervously unable to lift his head, looking at Jolie, who was completely devoted to me. My eyes welled up with tears. In the previous life, he alone had stormed into my wake and stolen my broken body. He held me, knelt on one knee, and put a ring on my finger. Those hands, skilled at precisely controlling racing cars, trembled uncontrollably. He said, "I should have been more selfish, Rongshi. I should have taken you away sooner." I wiped away tears, my voice unsteady. "Jolie, you coward, you love me so much. You've always thought about marrying me. Why didn't you say it?" He bent his fingers, wiped the tears from the corner of my eyes, and whispered, "Rongshi, I didn't dare. I just love you too much, my dear. Please forgive me." Jolie kissed her lips, twining and sucking fiercely at her tongue as his possessiveness surged unrestrained. He pressed my back tightly against him, so much so that I could clearly feel Jolie's heart thumping heavily against his chest, numbing me with its force. Rongshi had no idea. For Jolie, every look they shared was an embrace, and every kiss was a tsunami. That evening, I curled up under the blanket, waiting to be fed. Jolie, wearing nothing but an apron, sat on the edge of the bed, feeding me bite by bite. Because of his leaning forward, his firm chest muscles squeezed together, looking even more appealing to touch. I gazed at him with longing, acting coquettishly. "Jolie, why not just take it off? You're sweating, and it's quite warm in this room." Jolie had just come out of the shower, wearing only a pair of loose gray pants, with a white towel casually draped over his shoulder. Droplets of water slid down, tracing his muscular lines to the waistband of his pants, making the damp pants outline his form more distinctly. He looked both lazy and tempting, stirring desires. Then I told him I was too hungry, urging Jolie to cook without bothering to dress. The bare apron indeed added a unique flavor to the scene, but it didn't stop me from wanting more. Jolie brought the spoon to my lips, frowning. "What time is it? And you're still not eating properly. Have you forgotten about your bad stomach?" "I've eaten quite a bit already. I'm not very hungry now." I couldn't resist touching his hand. Jolie's fingers were long, with veins prominent on the backs and a light callus on the fingertips that tingled against the skin. Jolie put down the bowl and gently pressed on my stomach, under my puzzled gaze. He nodded. "Yes, you're full." My eyes lit up, full of anticipation. "Then you can take off the apron. There's no need for it when washing dishes." "Right." Jolie met my gaze, chuckled softly. "Sweetheart, if you want to see my abs, you can just say so." He untied his apron and tossed it aside, watching me with a smile. "It's not that, I'm just not hungry anymore. Just reminding you to take off your apron." Blushing, I hid under the blanket. Next, he grabbed my ankles and pulled me under him. Caught off guard, I looked at him in shock. "Jolie, what are you doing?" Jolie pressed down tightly, whispering into my ear with heavy breaths, "Sweetheart, you've had your meal, now it's my turn," unable to withstand my tears and tantrums. Jolie agreed to move in with me into a rental place to share our joys and sorrows. I gave all the contacts and funds I had saved to Jolie's company. With my help, his company developed very quickly. At the same time, I released the evidence of Lynn Cece's wrongdoing against me. Faced with my father's furious scolding, I just smiled. I agreed to sign the understanding agreement. But I never agreed to help you destroy the evidence. Blame yourselves for being too foolish. The company's reputation declined, suffering losses year after year. At this critical moment, I publicly released evidence of my father's incompetence and collusion with outsiders, and conducted a live broadcast. As a victim, I expressed my condemnation of the irresponsible management and my sympathy and understanding for the employees. As you all can see the condition of the company, I am deeply saddened as the former manager. And I hope everyone takes the opportunity to make a choice while you can still receive a salary. Public opinion exploded again. Many employees chose to resign and leave the company, which completely lost its vitality. Jolie took the opportunity to offer high salaries to attract many technical experts, taking his business to the next level. My father, having no other choice, the only option left was to marry Lynn Cece off in an arranged marriage, so I created a dazzling overseas returnee identity for a professional con artist, borrowing his black card and luxury car for the act. Within 2 months, Lynn Cece was convinced she had stumbled upon a wealthy expat heir. My father was thoroughly duped by the con artist, clinging to him as a lifeline, eager to secure a wealthy son-in-law. My father was even tricked into agreeing to give away 15% of his company shares as Lynn Cece's dowry. Just like that, I effortlessly reclaimed the shares I had previously given away. However, on the day of the wedding, the groom vanished from the scene. Enraged, my father suffered a heart attack relapse and was hospitalized. Coincidentally, Chung Jingye, who was imprisoned 2 years earlier for intentional assault, was released on medical parole that very day. On his way to the hospital, he happened to pass by the hotel where Lynn Cece's wedding was being held. Hearing about the company's downfall and seeing Lynn Cece getting married to someone else drove him mad, and he dashed out of the car. "Lynn Cece, you traitor, it was you and your father who promised me the shares once I got out, and I took the fall for you. You know how miserably I lived inside, and here you are, about to marry a rich guy and fly high. Why do I end up with nothing while you reap all the benefits? Go to hell." Ignoring the police, he stormed into the wedding hall with a knife and stabbed Lynn Cece to death. He ended up receiving the death penalty himself. With scandals erupting and the CEO critically ill, the company was completely ruined. I contacted former colleagues and acquired the company at a very low price, becoming once again the major shareholder. On the day of Lynn Cece's burial, I deliberately took my father to her grave. Infuriated, he frothed at the mouth, struggling in his wheelchair, his gaunt fingers pointing accusingly at me. I watched quietly as he fell to the ground, laughing. "Dad, or rather, should I call you Uncle now? Uncle, why do you think a pure-hearted rich heir insisted on marrying Lynn Cece just when you were short of money?" Guess why Chung Jingye knew about Lynn Cece's wedding day? And why did the rich heir choose a wedding venue on the must-pass route to the hospital? How come the moment Chung Jingye got out of the car and eluded the police, there just happened to be a knife in front of him? My father convulsed, his throat making broken bellows sounds. He tried to stand with all his might but to no avail. I bent down, smiling. "Right, isn't it strange? How come there was a knife in the bride's resting room?" My father's hands flailed wildly in the air, and the heart rate monitor started beeping alarmingly. Medical personnel rushed forward, lifting him into an ambulance. I wiped away non-existent tears, mournfully saying, "Please make sure to cure my father." Once the dust settled, I began to reorganize the company. Years of neglect had allowed deep-rooted problems to surface fully. I undertook sweeping reforms, committed to fulfilling my mother's unfinished dreams. After a period of intense overtime, I finally took a break to visit Jolie. Last year, Jolie's company went public. He became the youngest CEO on the billionaires list, holding a small cake. I was about to push open his office door when I heard a delicate female voice. "President Zhou, I followed your orders to deliver a wreath yesterday, but I saw President Rong abusing his own father. It shows that President Rong's previously pitiful and magnanimous image is all fake. President, you must be very careful." I tensed up, my hand on the doorknob freezing. I had never told Jolie about what happened in my previous life. Would he think I was too ruthless? Fake. Jolie scoffed coldly. Isn't it normal for you to see a fake side, the real one? She only shows to me. President, I was just worried about you being deceived. Wrong, she is my wife. Who are you to judge her? So what if she deceives me? Why would she deceive me and not others? Get out, you're fired. Following a furious shout, a girl ran out sobbing. I smiled, pleased, and sat sideways on Jolie's lap. I hear someone thinks I'm deceiving you. Jolie looked down and kissed my lips, chuckling. Do you even need to deceive me? Isn't playing with me as easy as playing with a dog for you? I blushed and glared at him. Nonsense, I've never deceived you. Jolie affectionately ruffled my hair, whispering close to my ear in a husky voice. Sweetheart, what I mean is, I'm your little dog. I only listen to you. Desire spread with his hot breath. His sultry voice and sweet nothings completely swept me off my feet. By the time I came to my senses, I was already pushed against the office desk. Papers and pens clattered to the floor. Jolie leaned over me, biting my lip slowly. Good boy, the puppy wants a reward. I moaned softly, weakly pushing him away. The cake. We haven't eaten the cake yet. It's going to melt. Jolie chuckled softly, his eyes filled with desire. All right, let's have the cake. He slowly untied the pink ribbon from the cake box and meticulously wrapped it around my wrists, tying a beautiful and secure knot. He teasingly scooped up a dollop of cream, letting it drop onto himself. The white cream starkly contrasted against his bronzed skin, creating an overwhelming visual impact. I swallowed hard, forced to endure. His fingers continued downward, his tone lazy. Good boy, where do you want to eat next?